Here is the same text with a slight paraphrase, preserving the original style, tone, length, and structure. Only minor adjustments have been made to give it a slightly different flow without altering the meaning or the narrator's voice. Is a woman genuinely interested in you, or is she simply being polite and friendly? Almost every man has asked himself this question at least once. We often hear simple, popular advice. If she plays with her hair, they say, it's a sign she's interested. If she laughs at all your jokes, it means she likes you. But in reality, the issue is much more complex. Genuine attraction is rarely expressed aloud or demonstratively. You usually find it hidden in the details, in micro movements, in pauses, and in glances that are impossible to fully control. Behavioral psychology has long analyzed nonverbal cues. Scientists observe that in the first few seconds of an encounter, a person unconsciously reads a vast amount of information. A greeting is more than a mere formality. It's the moment when emotions are most clearly expressed, even before the social mask kicks in. A smile, a glance, the distance between bodies, the tone of voice. All of this can reveal a great deal about true feelings. When a woman is interested, her body reacts faster than her mind can process. Such reactions are almost impossible to fake because they arise automatically. That's why it's important to pay attention not to flashy gestures, but to subtle nuances. They may go unnoticed at first glance, but careful observation reveals them clearly. One of the most interesting signs manifests itself through a smile. A polite smile appears instantly and is a social response we've perfected over the years. We smile at coworkers, acquaintances, and neighbors, even when we don't feel anything special inside. But when there's a feeling of attraction, sometimes there's a micropause. She notices you, her gaze locks, and for a fraction of a second, there's a slight delay. The brain processes the emotion, and only then does a soft, warm smile emerge, as if it were welling up from within, gradually illuminating the face. This smile is distinguished not only by its appearance, but also by its quality. The eyes are involved, the outer corners of the mouth rise slightly, and the gaze deepens. It is a genuine smile, rarely forced. It is difficult to maintain for long. It appears naturally and fades just as naturally. It is precisely this brief pause and its gentleness that speak of a true inner response. The second important aspect is distance. We intuitively regulate the distance between ourselves and others. With those we are indifferent to, we maintain a neutral distance. With those we dislike, we increase it. When someone shows interest, the body tends to slightly reduce this distance. An almost imperceptible step forward, a slight bow, a turn of the shoulders toward you. This is especially noticeable when greeting someone. A friendly greeting is usually formal, brief contact, a light touch, a quick pause, and then a gesture of closeness. If there's attraction, the dynamic changes. The person lingers for a fraction of a second longer, moves a little closer than usual, or ends the contact as if slowly detaching themselves from the moment. It's important to remember that these aren't demonstrative gestures. Everything happens naturally, without theatricality. When a person feels comfortable and secure, their body relaxes, their shoulders loosen, their movements become softer, and their breathing calms. That state is difficult to fake. Another subtle sign involves eye contact. The eyes are one of the most expressive tools of nonverbal communication. When greeting someone, a look can convey more than words. If someone's eyes meet yours, drop for a moment and then return, it could be a sign of genuine interest. These micro movements happen quickly, almost without us noticing, but they reflect the workings of the subconscious. Research shows that when someone is attracted to you, they tend to make and maintain eye contact a little longer than usual. Their gaze remains warm, open, and relaxed. Sometimes, after a brief pause, it returns as if they want to reconnect. The voice deserves special attention. Even if the words are neutral, the intonation may change. The voice becomes softer, slightly deeper, or higher. A melody emerges, and the pace of speech slows down a bit, as if they want to prolong the moment of communication. Interestingly, most of these signs appear simultaneously. Individually, they might seem random. A belated smile could be attributed to a moment of distraction, a shorter distance to a lack of space, a fleeting glance to chance. But if we observe two or three of these signs at once, the likelihood that it's not a coincidence increases significantly. Confidence is demonstrated not with flashy actions, but with composure. If you notice subtle hints, don't mention them immediately or abruptly change your behavior. Overreacting ruins the naturalness of the moment. It's better to respond with the same energy. Smile calmly, maintain eye contact a little longer, and keep a gentle, relaxed demeanor. True attraction develops gradually. It's built on a sense of security and mutual respect. An attentive, calm, and balanced man creates a space where the other person feels comfortable expressing their feelings. Men often mistake casual friendliness for special interest, so it's important to observe her overall behavior. Whether she tries to continue the conversation, maintains eye contact afterward, and takes the initiative. Genuine interest is rarely limited to a brief moment. Another indicator is the consistency of the signals. When words, gaze, and distance align, a sense of cohesion emerges. If a smile, open eyes, and a close presence go hand in hand, we're looking at a unified pattern of behavior. If there's a smile, but the body moves away and the gaze avoids eye contact, it's most likely just politeness. Context is equally important. The environment, atmosphere, and circumstances of the encounter influence behavior. In a noisy group, a person behaves differently than when they're alone. At work, signals are often more subtle, so it's best to observe carefully without jumping to conclusions. Perceiving subtleties is a skill that develops over time. It requires observation and inner calm. A person too focused on making an impression overlooks the details, while someone relaxed and present sees them more clearly. Interest manifests itself through small details: a light touch of hands during laughter, an effort to shorten a pause, a desire to prolong the encounter for at least a few more minutes. These aren't flashy gestures, but gentle hints that conceal true depth. If you notice a warm gaze, a soft, lingering smile, and a desire to get closer, don't jump to conclusions. Simply continue the conversation naturally, letting the dynamic unfold without pressure. Real trust is expressed with patience. When doubts dissipate, a sense of tranquility arises. It's no longer about guessing, but about observing and responding calmly. The body often tells a story that words conceal. Learning to read this silent language clarifies many things. Ultimately, reciprocity is key. Even the most subtle signals only acquire meaning when they resonate. A returned smile, a supportive gaze, an open posture. All of this builds an invisible bridge between people. If that bridge is built from both sides, then we can speak of genuine interest. Attention to detail distinguishes those who understand what's happening from those who get lost in conjecture. But it's important to maintain respect and not invade personal boundaries. True attraction doesn't come from analysis, but from authentic presence and serene trust. So the next time you meet and exchange greetings, don't look for noisy confirmations.